Because if you commit to peace, if the world commits to peace, as these peaceniks are proposing, what we are saying is that the international laws doesn't matter, that whoever has the right has the right, and therefore genocide and murders can be committed. We're going to be living in a lot more dangerous world going forward. There is a lot more at stake here, and the fact that people are just completely ignoring the just part is pissing me off.
Oh yeah, big time, bro. And also where in the international legislation it is said that an old fart can just take a look at the map of the 17th century Europe and say, there's no Ukraine, so we can have it, even though he's fucking blind because he missed a huge title saying Ukraine, land of Cossacks. I think that Putin, being a KGB spy and serving for years in Germany, is a fucking bullshit because he doesn't read Latin letters at all. And as for the peaceniks, they are full of shit because recently Russians proposed a list of conditions for Ukraine to stop this war, and they demand Ukraine to stop defending itself. They demand Europe and other countries to stop supporting Ukraine with weapons and things like that. They also demand Ukraine to cancel membership in the EU and NATO, even though we're not members yet. And they also demand us to give up territory. And that's exactly the same sort of bullshit that all the peaceniks are talking about. It's completely the same. They will never negotiate. They will never call Russia to stop invading Ukraine, to stop this aggression. They will never do that. They will do everything they can to support Russia because this flag that I have here, the flag that my bro there has behind his back, that is the most despised and hated flag by those motherfuckers. That's fact. That's why they are full of shit. At the same time, those conditions proposed by Russia, I think it's very important because for the first time, Russians are actually talking about things that they are afraid of. They are afraid that Ukraine will keep defending itself. They are afraid that the world will keep supporting Ukraine with weapons. They are afraid that Ukraine will join European Union and NATO. And I'm not sure about NATO, though, because from
Why so?
like for all those years that I remember myself, even though Ukraine implemented a lot of reforms in the army and stuff, we were never invited and never accepted into NATO. I mean, all kinds of speakers from NATO in 2015, 2016, 2017, they were all saying that not in the nearest century Ukraine will join NATO. And I'm sure that you remember that as well. Nobody ever said that, yes, Ukraine will be accepted like tomorrow. Not
I
even
agree.
not even in 2020. But at the same time, why NATO is not really important for Russia. It's Ukraine joining European Union because it means that Ukraine will become more successful than isolated and despite dog shit called terrorist federation. Because this is something they cannot stand. They cannot imagine those uber humans, right? Those unterhumans, untermenschen, that they always despised, suddenly becoming a successful nation, successful country with tens of millions of friends around the world. It will destroy them psychologically. So that's why they hate it so much. and of course territories and other shit. They're very afraid of losing everything they achieved in Ukraine, even though they already lost, I believe, majority of those territories they captured, because again, Russia doesn't have any control over any of the 22 major cities in Ukraine. If you are winning the war, it means that you at least managed to capture majority of those major cities. Okay, at least 11, but they have zero, and they lost Kherson that they controlled since the beginning of the invasion. Uh, they lost it in order to take Bakhmut, which is which proves that we are blessed to fight with imbeciles, basically.
I think you're right in the most part, but I got really bad flashbacks with my discussions with my wife, as funny as it is. And I think you're severely underestimating the role that Ukraine has played during the last year for the world and NATO in large. So I believe you are underestimating just the impact and the severity of that impact that Ukrainian people has had on NATO and European countries and whatnot. I don't think that there is an actual reasonable discussion about whether Ukraine join NATO. I think it's more like if before it was like, yes, technically Ukraine could join NATO, but there was not political will. So right now the situation is completely on its head. Now there is definitely a political will, but there might be, some countries that try to oppose it, ergo like Hungary and so on. But what we've seen that even like something like,
Just a sound effect in the background. Go on. Go on.
Well, what a timing.